Okay, welcome to Building a Firm Foundation for Your Career, advice on internships and career preparation for first-year engineering students. My name is Melissa Dean. Along with me today is Mikey McCarrans. We work in the College of Engineering with our prospective student population, so you probably have seen us a few times if you ever came on a tour to the College of Engineering, attended an event on campus, or have attended a virtual information session. We are excited that y'all are here today to learn more about how LSU prepares you for after you graduate. Today we do have Courtney Frost. She is our career coach extraordinaire for engineering, and she is someone who Mikey and I work with all the time when it comes to really understanding how great the Olin Career Center is to our students on campus. With that, Courtney, the show is yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. Yeah, my name is Courtney Frost. I'm the career coach for the College of Engineering here at LSU. And to speak a little bit about my role before we get started, basically I'm here to make sure that College of Engineering students are being supported in their career exploration, in pursuing internships, co-ops, and full-time jobs and graduate school. And so that shows up in a lot of ways. So sometimes I'll see students in one-on-one appointments or drop-in hours or group appointments. I'll hold programs which are meant to help students develop in a certain way. So I might hold a resume workshop or a workshop for career expo prep, or bring employers to campus to help connect you with them and help you network with them. And then I do assist our office with our recruiting events. And so our big career fair, our interviewing days, all things like that, recruitment events, style events. I help with those as well. I'll be in some of your classes, or they might incorporate career assignments into them, and I would help your professors develop those, and then just so much more. So my work kind of looks a lot of different ways, but essentially I'm just here to help you in your pursuit of a career after LSU. So I work in the Olin Career Center at LSU, and the mission of the Career Center is to help all LSU students and alumni obtain that next step in their career. So whether that be work experiences, landing full-time employment, gaining admission to graduate school or professional school, the Career Center is here to help you in everything that entails. And we have 3 different teams that work in our office that help us do that work. And so the first one is the student services team, and that's the team that I'm on. And it's all people who whose job is directly to help students either in choosing a major, choosing a career, in the pursuit of their next position or graduate school, all of those things. And then we also have a team of people on the employer development and relations team, and this team is solely focused on bringing employers to campus. So making sure that there are always new employers that are looking to recruit LSU students, and then making sure that any that we already have a recruiting relationship with, making sure that they're happy, that they're having a good experience recruiting LSU students, and if they're needing any assistance in that we are providing that for them. And then we have our operations team, which just helps us function day to day and do all the work that we do. So that might be our business manager who does all our budgeting and HR stuff. It might be our communications person that helps us kind of manage our email communications and social media. So we have a really broad team that helps everybody kind of push this mission forward. So talking today about your experience at LSU and why you should be thinking about internships. I'll be using internships as kind of just a catch-all phrase for things like co-ops, summer jobs, volunteering if you're looking to go the pre-health route, research experiences. I'll just be using intern as an easy phrase, but this applies to all of those experiences. So why should you intern? There are a lot of benefits to getting some sort of career-related experience while you're in college. Some of them are listed here on the screen, but the most impactful ones are really becoming more competitive for full-time jobs or graduate school, Oftentimes people who have more experience will earn more money. For full-time positions, there's usually a range of how much a company can pay that role, and people who have more experience or more of the skill sets that are needed for that job will be on the higher end of that range. So those are two of the most often important reasons for people. But for somebody who's very early in their career development, it can confirm your career choice. You can say, wow, I really do love this. And I'm confirming that I want this career for a long time. Or you might say, wow, like I did 10 weeks of this over the summer and I can't imagine doing this for, several years, and then you pivot from there. So there are a lot of good reasons. Confirming your career choice is one of them. Earning money is a big one for people. Becoming more competitive for jobs and earning more money after graduation. Those are usually the ones that really stick out to students. So how might you find these opportunities? The first step is to narrow down what you're looking for. So you might say, well, I want to be a mechanical engineer. Isn't that narrow enough? But within a major like mechanical engineering, there are going to be a lot of different facets of that. And there are going to be a lot of different ways that you can apply that. So you might say, well, let me look into this on resources like the ONET, the OOH. What can I do with this major? Different blogs. You might look at job boards. You can look at a vast variety of different resources to learn about the different applications that your major has within industry, the different sectors within your industry. So for mechanical, you might say, well, I really like aerospace after doing this research, and I really like that application. I think it's really interesting. And so I'm going to pursue opportunities within that section of mechanical engineering. Doing the research is really key because employers like it when they can see that you're taking this seriously and investing your time and energy into learning as much as possible before you get to them. It shows that you're really engaged, that you're really interested, and those are all characteristics and qualities that they're going to want in their internship and full-time hires. Then you look at job boards and you say, okay, let me see what specific opportunities are out there. So you might use job boards such as the Handshake system for LSU, Indeed, which is just a massive like public open job board online, and then the LinkedIn system has a job board as well. And so you can use these to find opportunities to apply to in that moment, or as another research tool for finding companies, for learning more about what opportunities typically look like, for figuring out what skills and experiences are needed to be competitive for those opportunities. So there's just a lot that you can learn from using the job boards. And then the number one way that you're going to want to pursue opportunities of interest is by networking. This is the number one way that people in the United States gain their jobs and internships. And so basically what networking means is just reaching out to professionals who work in your field, who do things that are of interest to you, and having a conversation with them. So that might look like reaching out to an LSU alum at Chevron to say, I'm really interested in, this type of work. I see that you're doing really great things at Chevron. Would you mind, a 20, 30-minute phone call with me so I could ask you some questions about X, Y, and Z? It's just really as simple as that, just asking somebody for a conversation. If we were in a pre-COVID world or a post-COVID world, you might offer to buy them coffee and meet them in person, but you just do it however you're able to do it, whether that be in person, through a video call, through a phone call, even through email. Networking is going to be the single most important job search activity that you can do. And I highly recommend doing it all throughout your career, whether or not you're looking for a specific opportunity at that time or not. So then how to become competitive for these types of opportunities. So number one, especially for internships and competitive things like research experience for undergraduates or REUs, for those interested in the research realm, a high GPA is often a very important indicator to employers. And so one of the best things that you can do to keep as many opportunities open to yourself as possible is to earn as high of a GPA as you can. In engineering, it's a really tough curriculum no matter what major you're in. And so you don't have to be perfect. A lot of employers, you know, they understand that, you know, you will not have a 4.0 necessarily, but just getting it as high as possible is going to keep the most opportunities open to you as possible, because big companies will use GPA as a cutoff to say, all right, you know, if we were going to have 10,000 applicants for our internship program, we need to cut this off at some point to make it manageable. So they're going to use GPA as a way to do that. Exploring career options early and continuously, that's going to make you competitive in that you're going to know what you want and you're going to be able to articulate that. And again, that's something that employers really like. When somebody is applying for an internship position, if they say, well, I don't really know anything, and the next person comes up and says, I really like your company for X, Y, and Z reasons, and I'm interested in this position specifically for these reasons, that second candidate is going to look a lot more interesting to the employer. Attend events such as the STEM Virtual Career Expo, which is going to be held on September 15th. Our Career Expo is going to be virtual this semester just for safety reasons. And so make sure that you look out for emails about it, look in the handshake system to see which employers are going to be registering, and make sure that you attend if there are any employers that are of interest to you. Identify specific interest areas. So that goes back to exploring career options early and continuously. The Career Expo is a great way to explore. So if you're at a point where you're not looking for a specific role, it's great to go to the Career Expo and just learn about different companies and talk to people who work in those organizations. Be able to articulate your interest in a specific field, company, or role. So again, that just goes back to knowing what you want. You're able to have lots of different interest areas, but you just need to be able to say, this is why I like this thing, this is why I like this thing, and this is why I like this thing. Specifically getting competitive for opportunities, you want to make sure that you're taking advantage of the variety of ways that you can get experience while you're a student. So experience does not just mean paid employment, although it does include that. So you might have a summer job, or you might get an on-campus job when you come to campus in August. Those are great ways to get experience, but also involvement in student organizations, volunteer work, leadership positions, academic and personal projects are all great ways to get experience and things that employers want to see on your resume. So don't think that you just have to get a paid work position to gain experience. All of these things are things that employers look for and value when looking for internships and full-time work. And then network. Going back to networking, it's really important you get to understand firsthand what employers are looking for. So if you were to say, back to Chevron, that's my #1 company and I really want to work there, talking to people who work at Chevron, you'll be able to understand what is important to that company, what they look for when they're hiring for certain roles, and then you can go and seek out those skills and build up on them. So always keep in mind that you're always able to grow and develop the skills that you need to be competitive for an internship, a full-time job, a research opportunity. You know, you're always able to develop the skills that are needed for that and become competitive. So if you see one that you're interested in but feel like you're not quite a good fit yet, make sure that you work on the skills that you think you could definitely work on. And that will just make you a much better candidate when you do want to apply.
Thank you so much, Courtney. So next we will have a current student with also some recent alumni who are going to share their experiences currently and recently when they graduated from LSU about how they really used their skill sets, the Career Center, all those things to get to where they are. So I'm going to start now with Madeline Hutchinson. She is a current student in the College of Engineering, majoring in mechanical engineering.
Hi, everyone. Like Melissa said, my name is Madeline, and I am a current student at LSU. So I'm going into my 4th year in mechanical engineering. And coming into LSU and mechanical, I chose mechanical kind of because I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do. And so I wanted that kind of like broad aspect of being able to go in different directions. So for me, I used internships as kind of a way to narrow that down. So I was able to get experience in different aspects of mechanical engineering and be able to choose from that. So coming in freshman year, I was not someone who wanted an internship after my freshman year. I kind of wanted that summer to myself, but I still went to the career fair and still made a resume and still applied to get interview experience as well as start networking with people at career fairs. So the way I actually ended up getting my sophomore year internship with Halliburton is I had met the recruiters freshman year, and when I applied sophomore years, they remembered me from freshman year. So starting those networking connections early is definitely very, very important in success with getting internships, because they were able to remember me when they saw my name on the resume when I applied for my sophomore year. And then after that, I was able to use Handshake, which is like LSU's version of kind of LinkedIn, to apply for all my co-ops that I applied for junior year. And again, I did more than one interview just for, again, interview experience, kind of to get that ready for looking for full-time jobs. And I was able to get a co-op with Disney for this spring semester. And unfortunately, that was cut short due to everything kind of going on. But what's super nice about LSU, and that you will find out very, very quickly, is that all the advisors and everyone there is wanting you to succeed, and they understand how important getting internships and getting co-op experience is for your success in the future. So I was able to work with my advisors and work with all my teachers to kind of figure out a way for me to take an entire semester off and do a co-op and be able to still stay on track with all my classes and everything. So it was definitely very encouraged and supportive atmosphere for me to be able to get internships and co-ops. And now with hopefully having only a year left, I will be able to find a job after this. And with that, I will hand it off to Howard to talk about his experience.
All right. Thank you, Madeline. Hey, how's it going, guys? So my name is Howard, and I'm actually a recent grad in the class of 2018. And I'm majoring software engineering in computer science. And so some of the place I interned at, my sophomore year, I interned at Exxon. And I think my junior and senior year summer, I interned at Goldman. And I took a year off of school to do a co-op with Intel. I think Courtney covered all the reasons why you should get an internship. But for me, another big one is after my first internship, I realized, wait, so you're telling me I get paid to go travel somewhere and make friends for summer? Aside from learning all these things, this is sick. So it's so after that, I kind of start applying internship to places I want to go visit, like New York City. And in that photo, actually, is two of my best friends. We ended up living together the whole summer in New York. It's the dreams. And then after that, I was hey, I want to go to West Coast, even though I really like the East Coast. So that's when I went to Intel to see what West Coast was like. And obviously that's when I realized, wow, I'm such a West Coast person compared to East Coast. And that's why eventually going to work at a company I didn't intern for at all in the West Coast called Qualtrics. And that's another big thing about internship is I realized that the big company atmosphere was not for me. Where I prefer is there's constantly things going on, and there are a lot of opportunities that contribute, not everything set in defined way. And that's something I learned with internship as well. And in terms of how LSU got me there, I think two big part Courtney covered as well is networking. I got my first internship through networking in the student org by just attending these industry events where people come in and talk about their jobs. And then, I sparked a conversation with one of the person who came to do the talk, and that's how I got my first internship. And another big one, I think, is definitely, like Courtney said, the career fair, where there are all these companies coming in, and beforehand, you kind of get to research what they do and stuff like that. So when you guys go up to their table, you get a chance to talk about why you like them and stuff like that. That also help you with your chances. And the last thing I want to say is, do I miss LSU? Absolutely. Yeah, that's me. And next up, I'll hand off to Rashad. I think you're muted, Rashad.
Okay, here we go. I'm here now. How's it going, y'all? I'm Rashad. I graduated in 2017, December 2017, and originally I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, And I came to LSU and I started off in petroleum engineering, but I found out that that wasn't for me. And so my sophomore year, I switched to civil and ended up finishing in civil engineering. Finding an internship for me was pretty tough at first because I started off in petroleum, and being in that field, it was pretty hard to find an internship since it was so specific. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do at first. But from my experience and my time at LSU, I just want to stress to like incoming students or any student that's in college, like Courtney said, you got to make those connections and network while you're in school. Figuring out what you want to do after school while you're in school, like don't wait to do that. Like you want to just go ahead, figure out what you want to do, and then start pursuing that while you're in school. Start making those connections, start networking. And for me, I never really looked at getting a degree as an end goal. Like for some of y'all, y'all probably all just graduated high school, you got the diploma, you're excited and everything. But I mean, the most important thing was getting into college. And I feel like when you're in college, the most important thing is getting a job after college. So I never looked at a degree as the end goal. And one thing that I kind of noticed, like in school, like, applying myself in a classroom wasn't enough. Like, I had good grades and, that wasn't a problem. And I don't think, it shouldn't be a problem with y'all. Like LSU gives you enough tools to apply, to be good in classes and make sure you have good grades. But they also give you the tools to make sure that once you get out of school, you're set up fine. Like they have organizations that you can join, like NSBE, SPM. I was a part of Society of Peer Mentors, SWE, Society of Women Engineers. And then they have the career fair, the Olin Center. Like make sure you take advantage of all that stuff that LSU has to offer, because they have so many tools and so many resources that, I don't even know about, or I probably found out like, a couple years into it. But you want to make sure you take advantage of those resources as soon as possible, because I mean, the most important thing is making sure you have that job after you graduate. And that starts with internships, co-ops, volunteering, volunteer opportunities, student orgs, going to career fairs. Even when you might not have an interview or you might not be expecting a job, you still want to go there to make sure, you're practicing, you're always on your toes. And you never know who you're going to meet from networking. I got my first internship after my sophomore year, and it was in a completely different field of civil, petroleum. It was with an electrical engineering firm. And I just met a guy at one of my sister's birthday parties, and boom, that was my first internship. And I mean, you never know what you're going to learn from any job opportunity. You might take a job opportunity and you might decide, okay, well, maybe I don't like this field. Maybe I want to go into something else. Internships, being in college, co-ops, networking, all that stuff, it gives you the opportunity to figure out what it is exactly you want to do. So that way, when you get out of school, you'll be set up and you'll be straight. So I'm gonna hand it off to Mitchell.
All right, thanks, Rashad. If everyone can hear me, my name is Mitchell Petrus. Graduated just last year in petroleum engineering. My 4 years at LSU, I had the opportunity to intern quite a few places, and I was really fortunate to get a lot of job experience, research experience, and really take advantage of all the resources that LSU had to offer. Just to reiterate what a lot of people have already said, and they've said it really well, LSU has the tools to get you where you want to go. It's really a matter of you making sure you know where those tools are at and making sure you're taking advantage of them. Because at the end of the day, all the faculty, all the staff here, they're all working to make you the most marketable candidate when you graduate, and no one's going to be working against you on that. So you just got to express your interest, let people know where you want to go, and somehow you end up there, it seems like, all the time. So just some highlights that I feel like made my LSU experience what it was. I got involved in a lot of different student organizations. I think that's really big, just to For me, I'm from Augusta, Georgia, and I didn't really have a huge network of friends coming into college because not a lot of people go from Georgia to Louisiana. So it was really important for me to kind of branch out and go to all these different meetings, all these different events, and start meeting people from my major, start meeting people with the same interests. And it goes the same way for internships too. They talked about figuring out where you want to work and who you want to work for. Well, that always starts at the career fair, and I can't tell you how many times I talked to an employer and just immediately said, like, this is the person I want to work for, or I thought I was really going to like this company or this employer, but I'm just not getting the right vibe or feeling from it. So you really never know unless you have those conversations. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just go out there, meet as many people as you can. I know Rashad talked about meeting someone at a birthday party, and that's how he got his first internship. I mean, stuff like that happens all the time. You always got to keep your ears to the ground. And, even with everything going on right now and all the, virtual career fairs and everything, I'd still think it's really important that you take the time and take the initiative and just kind of put yourself out there. Like everyone else has said, you never know where you're going to end up, never know where you're going to land, but coming here, you'll land somewhere, and really you just have to figure out where that is and where you want to go with it. So with that, I think I'll hand it back to Melissa.
Thank y'all so much. Okay, panelists, if you all want to get back on camera, and Courtney, you can too. We're going to open this up for a question and answer. So if anyone has a question that hasn't been answered in the chat yet, let me know. Let's see. Let me ask a question for Courtney. Courtney, what has been your favorite thing to do when interacting with students, and like what's like been your favorite outcome that you've seen with helping a student?
Let's see. I think that my favorite part of interacting with students is really just to get to know them on like as a person, which sometimes is hard because maybe they don't know what to expect from an appointment with me, or maybe they're like my 8th appointment of the day and I'm like tired, or like a lot of different factors. But I think something that's really been great about working from home is that it's easier to get to know students on a personal level. Every time I share my screen, a student will see a picture of my dog and we can like connect about that. And I really love those moments. So that's my favorite thing. And then in terms of outcomes, I love it when students that I've worked with in the past, they'll see me in the hallway at PFT, or they'll email me specifically and tell me what the outcome of like our appointment was. So, like a student might come to me for interview prep for an interview for a full-time job, and I'll tell them like, hey, like tell me what happens, because like I want to know. And so I always love hearing like I got the job, or I got into grad school, or one student that I worked really closely with while he was here decided to like pursue like military service and join the Army. I actually just did a reference call for him yesterday. So all those things are really great. And I think that you'll find that at LSU, probably across the board with faculty and staff, is we really love like knowing like your successes and trying to help you when you're struggling or having a challenge. And so if you do work with me, like let me know what those outcomes are, because I live for that kind of stuff. And if you like dogs, we can talk about that too. But yeah, I think those are my favorite things.
Awesome. Thank you, Courtney. Okay, panelists, we get this question a lot just in general about planning out your 4 or 5 years of curriculum and how to like really make it worth your time. So we have a question. Should I take my general education courses earlier in my freshman and sophomore year, or later in my junior year? I know off the bat, a lot of flowcharts are different. So if someone wants to just answer that question, or maybe what they did during their time at LSU.
Yeah, I mean, I can quickly talk about it from my personal experience. So, albeit this was 2 years ago. So for me, I took all my gen ed my senior year. Um, and the reason behind that mainly just because I knew I was way more interested in my CS courses. So I was basically just taking them as quickly as I can. And by the end, I was kind of like doing them as a like a chore kind of thing. It's like, okay, yeah, I know I need to do this to graduate. So here you go. Let me take them real quick. And bright side with that is also like when you're a senior, you get a scheduling priority, I believe. So you have better choices in terms of you have first take in terms of like what gen ed you take. That worked out for me at least.
I guess I can kind of talk about what I'm doing. So I feel like it's different for everyone, and it's going to be a personal preference, kind of how you like to space it out. I know a lot of the people that I like are in my study groups, they kind of want to have a gen ed every single semester because it's going to be one of your easier classes. So it's kind of nice to have a buffer when you're taking a bunch of hard engineering classes. For me, I took a lot my first 2 semesters just because kind of for ME flowchart, that's where they are. And so I just took them how they already were. And what I've actually been doing is during internships and co-ops, gen eds are really easy ones to take online. So it's a really easy way to be able to take one class while I'm working. So I'm not getting super behind during the summer or during a semester when I'm taking off. So that's what I did for both of my co-op and internship. I was able to take gen eds online.
Awesome. Okay. Now this is a common question because of what we're doing or what we're all involved in right now. We all kind of touch base on it a little bit, but I think it's a good conversation to have. How, in y'all, for panelists, if you were about to enter college or you're in college now, how would you handle networking in a pandemic? I think this is a pretty interesting conversation to have because I don't think any of us ever considered a pandemic to just come out of the blue like nowhere.
I think that's actually a really, really good question. The couple of things, the couple of things that comes to mind to me. So I would imagine your student organization usually will have again, like industry people come in and talk about their experience, stuff like that, right? If possible, I would reach out to the organizers of these events and just say, hey, like, what's this person's contact? Like, I would love to learn more just about the industry in general. I mean, like, let's say I was getting into petroleum, right? Which like I know nothing about. Like I could email a person and say, hey, thank you for like taking your time out of the day to like come to LSU and teaching us like showing us more about petroleum engineering. I'm a freshman in this field. I know nothing about petroleum yet, but I'm very interested in the field. Could you schedule one-on-one meeting with you and just talk more about like what this meeting's like? And you guys could either do that over the phone or do that over email, however you're more comfortable with. And like honestly, a really good opener question is like, what's your day-to-days like? Like what's the hardest part of your job? Why do you like your job? Or like what are the biggest challenges you face from day to day? You know, just people enjoy talking about themselves. So
I'll go ahead too. Some really great resources for finding people. The number one way to find people, I think, is through LinkedIn. You can type in anything into the search box, any job title that you're interested in, and search for people, and people will come up. I think I looked for just general like mechanical engineer recently, and it was like 4 million people came up with the term mechanical engineer. So there are just massive amounts of people out there. You can also use the LSU page on LinkedIn to find alumni from LSU and reach out to them. A lot of people find that to be a very easy way to kind of ease into networking because you already know that you have something in common to talk to this person about. And then something that I would just recommend is people like to talk about themselves. And so people are super into like having students reach out to them and just want to talk about like their job and their company and how they get to where they are. And so don't be too nervous about reaching out to people because you're asking just for information. You're not asking for a job. So it's not a big ask. And people like to talk about this stuff. So definitely look on LinkedIn. You can start out just very broad, just use the search box at the top of the page and type in programmer, mechanical engineer, petroleum engineer, anything like that, and just see where it takes you. You can also do the same thing in the job section, so on the job board of LinkedIn, to find companies that are interesting to you, and then look at their company page, and the people who work there will be attached to that company page. So you kind of just like start, and you will find your way through LinkedIn towards these people, and you can message them directly on the platform, or you can look up their company email address. Anybody that we have access to from the Career Center side, we are happy to give you contact information. So if there's somebody that comes to the expo and you didn't get their contact information, or you're particularly interested in a company and you're looking for a way to find somebody to reach out to there, we're happy to give you that information if you email us. And then you can also just reach out directly to the company and say, you know, this is who I am. I'm a student looking to explore, you know, career opportunities. I would love to just talk to somebody about the work that you do. Is there anybody that I can just set up a phone call with? In terms of like the logistics of networking, phone calls and video calls are going to be your best friend right now. So just make sure that you know that and you're comfortable with that. Make sure that you're in a good space for a video call, or that you're in a good place with your cell connection for a phone call, just all those good things.
Mitchell, did you have something you wanted to add?
No, I think they covered it pretty well. I was just going to say that, yeah, just everything's weird right now, but you got to remember that everyone's in the same boat that you are. So, you know, there's going to be a bunch of people coming to talk about things that you haven't heard about, and a bunch of things that you're interested in that you don't know who to talk to. And really, I feel like this time is a pretty good time for people y'all's age to kind of set yourself apart from other students and showing that initiative. And yeah, that's all really I have to say, is that you can just make this an opportunity rather than a downside.
Thanks, Mitchell. Madeline, maybe you can touch base on this question. How does LSU offer anything for a student who maybe is interested in mechanical engineering but also wants to do like automotive engineering? Like, just what is one cool organization that we have on campus that is really cool to talk about?
So for automotive, I highly recommend joining Tiger Racing, which is a club on campus, and they build a race car every single year, which is really cool, and they compete nationally. You do not have to be a mechanical engineer to join, so if it's not something you're interested in, but they are sponsored by a bunch of different automotive companies. And then at the national competition, a lot of automotive companies are there. So a lot of people get jobs in that industry from that club. There's also a bunch of different minors that you can take. So there's an automotive specific minor within the engineering college that you can take, as well as an international automotive minor where you have to do a semester abroad. So that's also kind of cool if you're interested more in the international side of it. So there's definitely a bunch of different things you can do to specialize within mechanical engineering or any discipline if it's something you're interested in.
Awesome. Okay, recent alumni, I have a question for you. We talk to these students a lot right now about the transition from high school to college and how it's totally different study mindset of you can't just study the night before, you have a lot more freedom, all these different things. But my question for you is, what was it like transitioning from college student mindset to now being a full-time adult? So I would love to hear y'all's feedback, or what it's really like as a young alumni, like what it's like being in the real world.
Okay, I can touch on that. I know for me, when I first graduated college, well, since I had an internship, I moved over from my internship to my job. I interned with the same company that I ended up going full time with, so that ended up kind of easing the process. But I mean, it kind of, to me, I don't know about everybody else, but to me, it was kind of a relief that I could, kind of not have to worry about, studying all night and doing this, but instead just focus on working, and that's it. So, but one thing that you'll realize quickly, at least I realized quickly, that when you graduate, I mean, you're still not done being a student. Like you're still always learning on the job. There's always certifications that you could take to, better you in your career. And even now, like, I mean, I'm working towards getting my PE, professional engineering license. So, I mean, you're always still going to be a student even after college. But right after college, I mean, it was a relief for me.
Yeah, I think that's something I definitely echo was what Rashad said. It's like that learning never stops. Like I remember the first 6 months of me actually on the job, even after all the internships, I still feel like, oh my God, there's so much like that's specific to this company I have to learn. And it never stops. And but one bright side though, I'll say is that this is obviously dependent, but a lot of times deadline becomes more fluid as the deadline is more of dialogue in a sense that like, hey, like your project manager say, hey, this is the project I want you to do. Could you like give me an estimate how long it'll take? And you might give him a date, but like throughout the course of the project, depending on what obstacles you're into, that the deadline is fluid. Obviously, unless there's some other factors that hold it constant. So compared to college, it's not like it has to get turned in by midnight or 11:59 of the Saturday night before. Also, Madeline, one more, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't Tiger Racing also have speakers coming from Nissan from Mississippi from time to time?
They have, from like what I've heard, they've had Tesla and they've had Tesla, Nissan. Ford is a big sponsor, and all of them come and talk to them and help them out for different parts of the year. I know one guy graduated last year and went work at Tesla, so they have a bunch of industry connections that come and talk to them.
Yeah, I know. Me and Howard have a friend who graduated pretty recently, and she ended up going to work for Nissan. And I'm not sure what all extracurriculars, like organizations, she was in while she was in school. I know they have like the Baja racing team, and then I mean she also did. LSU has like a robotics team or a robotics program, so she also did that. But I know she comes back from time to time and talks to students. And again, that's just like, getting in those organizations, because when these people come back, it's not like they're just coming back and they're just speaking to the masses, like they're coming to, SPM or NESB or these organizations, and they're talking to those students specifically. So that's where you need to get involved in.
We've had a question that I don't think any of y'all have done this, but y'all may know someone who may have pursued this. Do y'all know of anyone who has ever studied abroad, but also did like an internship while studying abroad, whether that's international or national student exchange type program? That's a good question we just got. Anybody?
I don't know anyone who's necessarily done them at the same time, but I do know someone who did the engineering study abroad. So that one's only 3 weeks long. So it's at the end of May, beginning of June, one of those, and it's only 3 weeks in Germany. So you can still study abroad, do that, and they were able to get back in time to still do a summer internship. So I have heard that being done, but I don't know anyone who's done like a full semester abroad while interning.
I think you're right, Madeline. So,
yeah,
but yeah,
I can think of.
So yeah, LSU like had changed their E3 program to be like right after finals for 3 weeks. So then you could go straight to an internship. COVID had other plans, but hopefully next summer we will be back on a study abroad kick, and kids and everyone can do that program. This is also a really good question, especially now. Like I graduated LSU in 2011, which was during a time of that, like not depression, but like we were recession. We were in that big recession, and jobs were really weird if you were going to have a job or not. So a lot of my class went and pursued their masters. We had a question about, have you gone to pursue your master's, or are you thinking about pursuing a master's, and what would you recommend for choosing to pursue a master's after earning an engineering degree?
I guess just to chime in on that, I don't personally have my master's, but just some of the advice I've been given is that With the more advanced your degree gets, kind of the more focused it is. And so if you're someone who either wants to continue on into academia or knows exactly what they want to do, yeah, maybe you finish your bachelor's degree and go straight to your master's. Kind of the beauty of engineering is that generally you don't need a master's to enter the workforce. That being said, if you do enter the workforce, find that there's something really specific that you enjoy and want to specialize more in that, or if your employer reaches out to you and says, hey, I'll pay for 2 years for you to be a student again, and you say, that sounds pretty cool, you might go back to school and do that. I guess the caveat to that would be is if you're not talking about getting an advanced degree in a technical field. So if you wanted to do your undergrad in engineering and then you decide to go off and get your MBA, generally the advice I've been given on that has also been to spend maybe a year or two in the workforce, again, just to try and understand, for that specifically, how a business is run before you get a master's in something like that. But it's really dependent on your goals. I mean, there's no right or wrong way to do that. It just depends on where you're trying to get to. But that's kind of the two buckets, is either you know where exactly you're going, or you don't, you figure out you want to go there and you decide to get your master's later.
Yeah, I think so I think Mitchell raised some really good points. I think a big thing to consider is like a lot of employers will offer tuition reimbursement in the sense that they will pay for your education as long as you get a something C or above, but this is obviously company dependent. So while you can work while go to school and maybe just take more years, because we're taking less credit hours per year, per semester, and may just take more time. Alternatively, you can just work for a couple of years, save up, quit and go full time. I've actually been thinking about going back to school sometime later in life, later down the line. So I've been researching this quite a bit. So it really just depends on how you want to allocate that financial wise. But my roommate is actually getting another degree right now while working. And one thing I have seen based on his experience is just that it is very rough, at least for him, to juggle between the two and spending time. There was definitely times where I see him up 2 o'clock at night. It's almost like back in college. So do I want to do that personally? I don't think so. So I think it really depends on the person.
Awesome. Real quick, on someone has asked about the different professional organizations we have in the College of Engineering. I know Mitchell is part of Society of Petroleum Engineers. Madeline's a part of American Society of Mechanical Engineers. I cannot remember the name of the computer engineering, electrical engineering student organization. It's IEEE, but I don't remember what it stands for. Does anybody remember what it all stands for right now?
I don't think even CS students know what IEEE actually stands for. I think everyone just calls it IEEE.
Electrical and electronic engineers.
Yes, so that's one of their organizations that they have. But yes, every major at LSU does have a professional society or organization that they have. So definitely join that organization in the this fall semester. So things I will touch on real quick before we wrap up. In the fall, we do host a student organization fair called Engineering Tiger Connections. I don't know how it's going to be this fall or when it's going to happen, but it is an open house for our 40 student organizations in the college. So just be looking out for emails on that. If you live in the engineering residential college, they will be all over the TV screens promoting how the event will happen. So just be on the lookout for that. Last question I'm going to ask the panelists before we wrap up. A recent alumni, what is some advice you would give students entering college right now?
I can go for that. I think I kind of already touched on it earlier. I think the most important thing is to make sure you take advantage of the opportunities that's outside of the classroom. Student orgs, career fairs, because I had plenty of friends who, they had great grades, but, they get out of college and it's like, okay, well, I don't have a job. And it's like, well, did you try to get a job while you're in college? Did you talk to people? Did you make those connections? I feel like that's probably the most important thing that I would stress on incoming freshmen, to make sure you know, do good in your classes. That's one thing, but then also make sure you build those connections and take the time to network, because there's going to be plenty of times when you're going to be sitting at home and you're like, I don't really want to go to this event, or I don't really want to go to this career fair or this organization meeting, but that might be the time that you miss out on something. So always try to make time for that also.
Yeah, I'll just chime in on that. 4 years sounds like a really long time, or 5 years, or however long it takes you to complete your degree. It sounds like a really long time. It goes by really, really fast. And just, again, you have to take advantage of those resources and take the initiative. There's very few things in college that are just kind of handed to you. But there's an abundance of opportunities if you look for them yourself. So again, you just got to put yourself out there, find something that you're interested in, find something that you're good at, find something you enjoy, find that group of people, and just soak all that in and take that with you your 4 years, so that when you get to the end of that road, you know, you can look back and say you're happy with what you did while you were here, and the future is only going to look brighter as long as you take those opportunities, take that initiative, and make sure you're ready and realize that there is a life after this 4 years. And it's not, I mean, they're going to tell you that high school is the best 4 years of your life, and then they're going to tell you that college was the best 4 years of your life. My first year in graduating was pretty crazy, but I will say it was one of the best years of my life. So I think, you know, take it year by year, don't rush through it, but also make sure you stop and smell the roses and enjoy the time you have there, because it does come to an end. So
That was awesome. Wow. I don't know how I follow up with that, but yeah, I think, I mean, this sounds cheesy, but like kind of like, love what you do what you love. You know, like I'm not gonna tell you like the next 4 years is gonna be easiest 4 year of your life. Like, it's not gonna be. Like, it's good. There are gonna be struggles, but like, if you love what you do, things just get a little bit easier. And it's just like, and I also think if you love what you do, you generally just do better at it. Hard things become easier, and sometimes just take a moment and stop, and like, you know, cherish like the memory and the friendship you made, because like some of my best friends even to this day are the people that I met in college, and I mean, I would cherish that for like as long as I can remember. So
Awesome. Thank y'all so much. Panelists, again, thank y'all so much for taking time out of your day to join our group for this event. Courtney, thank you again for all your knowledge of how we continue to help our students in the College of Engineering. Some things I wanted to point out to y'all as well, to look out for some more emails coming into your inbox. Next week, we are starting department or major specific events for you. So if you think, just because like with orientation this year was a little different because it was virtual, we are actually doing what you would have done with your program advisor now virtual. It's going to start next week. So if anyone's like, I know we have some petroleum students here. I'm hosting the petroleum event on Monday at like 4:30 p.m. Central Time. So be sure to look out for your emails about those specific events. Mikey is actually, I think, going to put in the link to our website to register for the department specific events, but also later in July, we'll be hosting an event about time management and study skills and how to prepare for like the next month, like what it's going to be like going into school and how to prepare for your really hard courses. So do be sure to look out for those links. Mikey should be putting that in soon. Also, if you haven't yet, we are hosting Go Engineering in conjunction with Welcome Week. Registration is almost full, so if you haven't registered yet, I would recommend registering for it. It is a 3-day program at the end of Welcome Week that is, you're gonna have big buddies from your major basically show you the ropes in a few days. It really is a great program, and they also, I think, will do like a career talk during that, and just some other really helpful things to just get ready for school starting the next week. So if you haven't registered for Go Engineering and you don't have any conflicts with Welcome Week, I would definitely encourage you to register for that. Oh, so it is full. Okay, so that is full. But if it wasn't full, I would recommend it. But if all else fails, our Society of Peer Mentors are probably going to help reach out to students who couldn't do it. So just be on the lookout for just a mentoring system. We're going to definitely try and make it easier for your freshman year because of how weird we're starting off school. With that, again, my information and Mikey's information is available here. So if you have any questions from this event, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We can connect you with the alumni that were on this panel, and also Madeline and Courtney. So please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Again, thank y'all so much for being a part of this event. This recording will be on that link Mikey put in the chat room tomorrow. So if you want to reference this for anything, feel free to visit it at any time. So again, thank you so much. Go Engineering and go Tigers.